All right, so we're diving into this report you sent over, the Automation Governance Playbook. It tackles this whole idea of a fully automated enterprise.
Sounds kind of futuristic, right?
It does.
Yeah.
But this report really gets real about what that actually means for businesses, like yours.
Yeah, for sure. It really digs deep into how, robotic process automation, RPA, how that's being combined with AI and machine learning to completely change the way we work. I mean, It paints this picture where humans and those, digital workers are working side by side. But it also says that we need to learn from the past, from past technological shifts.
Like when everyone rushed into cloud computing without a plan.
Exactly.
The report compares early RPA adoption to that.
Yeah.
And it says we need a much more strategic approach.
Yeah, definitely. And this report provides a solid framework to do just that. It really highlights how important it is to have a really strong governance model, one that balances those controlled experiments with larger scale, rollouts of automation.
So speaking of governance, the report lays out this 3-tiered automation operating model, and it starts right at the top.
At the top, yeah.
A steering committee made up of CEOs.
Wow.
And other C-suite execs. So, it tells you how seriously companies are taking that.
Absolutely. The report really makes it clear that these automation initiatives, they have to be in line with, the overall business strategy. And that starts with leadership buy-in from the very top.
But it's not just about, top-down control, is it?
Nope.
Because the report also highlights the importance of what they call a center of excellence, a COE, to act as a bridge.
Okay, yeah.
Between the business side and IT.
Yeah, and what's fascinating? Every CIO that they interviewed for this report had already implemented a COE for automation. It's clearly becoming a best practice.
For companies that are, the leaders in the space.
Yeah.
And it makes sense when you think about it. You need that central hub of expertise to guide the whole automation journey.
To manage it.
To manage the tech and make sure everyone's, on the same page.
The report even gets into, different COE models, recognizing that there's no one-size-fits-all approach, right?
Okay.
Some companies might want a centralized model with more control, while others might be more collaborative. It really depends on the company, their culture, and what they need.
So it sounds like companies are getting more, sophisticated in how they're approaching automation.
Yeah.
Compared to, those early days of cloud adoption.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And another sign of that is how they're thinking about the different levels of automation. The report lays out 3 levels, starting with basic task automation.
So you're talking automating those repetitive rule-based tasks that nobody really enjoys doing anyway.
Yeah.
It's like data entry or sending out routine emails.
Exactly. Freeing people up
from
those tasks to focus on the more high-value stuff.
Makes sense. But the report doesn't stop there. It goes on to describe a second level, process redesign. What does that entail?
So this is where it gets more interesting. It's not just automating individual tasks. You're using tools like process mining to analyze the entire workflow, to figure out how to optimize it. The report says companies are using this level to streamline their operations, cut down on errors and become more efficient.
So you're not just speeding things up, you're completely rethinking the whole process.
Precisely. And this is where you can start to see some significant benefits, not just in terms of efficiency, but also quality and even customer satisfaction. The report has several examples. One is MAPFRE.
Okay.
A multinational insurance firm.
What were they doing with automation?
They used it to streamline their claims processing.
Yep.
Let's face it, nobody really likes dealing with insurance.
Not my favorite thing.
Right. But by automating, key steps in that process, they were able to reduce processing times, cut down on errors, and ultimately really improve the customer experience.
That's a great example of how automation can make a real difference in people's lives. But the report goes even further, doesn't it?
It does.
To a third level, which sounds pretty radical.
Yeah, they call it new business models. And this is where things get really exciting. They're talking about companies using automation to create completely new ways of doing business, designed for automation from the very beginning.
Wow, that's another level. Do they give any examples of that in the report?
They do. They talk about how some of these reinsurance giants are experimenting with new business models to compete in the fintech space. They're using automation to create these innovative products and services that, just weren't possible before.
That's amazing. It really shows how transformative this technology can be.
Yeah.
But I'm curious about the human element in all of this. The report talks about these 3 levels of automation.
Yeah.
But where do people, where do they fit in?
Oh, that's a really crucial point. And the report addresses it, head on. It emphasizes that, to be successful with automation, it's not just about the technology. It's about the people. It's about leadership. It's about collaboration, clear communication, and, being willing to adapt.
So it's not humans versus robots. It's more like humans and robots working together.
Exactly. You got to bring your staff along for the ride.
Right.
Show them how automation can actually benefit them. Because if you don't, they'll feel threatened.
Yeah. And the report actually calls out those anxieties around job security as a major challenge.
It does. And it offers some strategies for dealing with them. One key point it makes is that automation isn't about replacing people.
Right.
It's about augmenting them.
Okay.
It's about creating a more powerful partnership between humans and machines, where each one can leverage their strengths to achieve, better results.
They use the analogy of a pilot and a co-pilot, right?
Yeah. The pilot's still in control, but the co-pilot, the automation in this case, helps them, fly more efficiently, more safely. It's a team effort.
I love that analogy. It really drives home the point that automation is about collaboration, not replacement. But all of this talk about strategy and people, it brings us back to the importance of governance. We talked about steering committees and COEs earlier. Why are they so important for, successful automation?
Well, because automation's a complex thing, and you need a clear framework to guide it. The steering committee, they provide that high-level vision and direction, right? Making sure the automation initiatives align with the overall business strategy.
They're like the air traffic controllers, making sure everything runs smoothly.
Perfect analogy. And then the COE, they're like the ground crew, right? Providing the expertise, the support, and the resources to make it happen. They're the ones making sure the planes are, tip-top shape and ready to fly.
I'm starting to see how it all fits together. So the steering committee sets the direction, the COE provides the expertise and support, and the employees are brought along, working with the automation to achieve, shared goals.
Exactly. And the report makes it clear that governance isn't just some bureaucratic thing. It's essential to success. It's like building a house. You wouldn't just start laying bricks without a blueprint and a solid foundation.
And you definitely wouldn't want to forget about the plumbing and electrical wiring. So this report is basically a roadmap for building a successful automated enterprise.
It really is. It gives you a framework for, thinking about automation strategically, addressing the human element, and establishing those necessary governance structures to ensure long-term success.
But let's be honest, not every company is going to be able to, achieve this level of sophistication overnight. I mean, this report's packed with info. For someone in your position, what would you say is the most important takeaway so far?
That's a great question. I think the biggest takeaway is the emphasis on a holistic approach. This isn't just about throwing technology at a problem. You need to think about the impact on people, the processes you're trying to improve, and the governance structures that'll guide everything.
That's a great point. This report makes it clear that successful automation requires a well-rounded approach that considers all aspects of the business. But we've only just scratched the surface of this report. There's so much more to unpack, especially when it comes to the specific challenges and opportunities that this automation wave presents. So, one thing that really stood out in the report was how they broke down the different levels of automation, talking about how companies are using it not just for speed, but to really rethink the way they work.
Yeah, and it's fascinating how the report highlights, the need to avoid just automating a broken process. It's like slapping a brand new engine in a car, but with bald tires. It might go fast, but it won't be a smooth ride.
Great analogy. It does seem like a lot of companies are realizing they need to address the underlying issues first.
Yeah. Before
they start automating, I mean. But the report also shows how automation can actually be a catalyst for that kind of process improvement.
Yeah, exactly. Like MAPFRE, the insurance firm we talked about, they used automation to completely redesign their claims processing, which led to, faster times, fewer errors, happier customers.
You mentioned you're in the early stages of exploring automation. Do you see any parallels with your own company's processes?
Absolutely. There are definitely places where we could streamline and make things more efficient. The whole process mining thing the report emphasizes, that's really relevant to us. Imagine being able to use data to pinpoint exactly where our processes are, slowing down or creating bottlenecks.
That's what process mining allows. It's like having X-ray vision for your workflows. The report suggests it can be a total game changer for companies trying to really take their automation, to the next level.
It's exciting to think about the possibilities, especially as we consider those, higher levels of automation the report lays out.
Right. Not just incremental improvements. This report's talking about how some companies are using automation to create completely new business models. That's where it gets really, disruptive.
And the examples they give are just, wow. Remember those reinsurance giants experimenting in fintech? They're leveraging automation to build products and services that were, unthinkable just a few years ago.
It's a good reminder that this isn't just about automating tasks. It's about using it to create completely new possibilities.
Absolutely. But with all this talk about tech and innovation, we can't forget about the people. The report's really clear about that.
Right, because even the most sophisticated automation still needs people to design it, to implement it, and to manage it.
Exactly. And that's why they stress engaging the staff right from the get-go. You can't just, spring this on people and expect them to be happy about it.
Especially with anxieties around job security.
Oh, of course. The report acknowledges those concerns, and it offers some real concrete advice. They emphasize clear communication, providing training and upskilling and demonstrating how automation can free up employees for, more interesting and fulfilling work.
It's about reframing the whole narrative, showing people how it can actually enhance their work rather than being a threat to it.
Right. The report even talks about celebrating early successes and showcasing how automation is making a positive impact, building momentum, getting everyone excited.
So it's not just implementing tech. It's about managing the cultural shift that comes with it.
Precisely. And that brings us back to strong governance. The report's really clear that you need a framework to guide the whole automation journey and to make sure, aligns with the overall business strategy.
We talked about those steering committees and COEs. They're playing a crucial role in setting that direction and providing the expertise needed to really navigate this complex landscape.
Yeah, the report highlights that those, governance structures, they're not just about control. They're about enabling success. They provide the foundation for making smart decisions, managing risks, and making sure that those, automation initiatives really deliver.
They also help to create a sense of transparency and accountability, right? Which is so important for building trust and buy-in from all the stakeholders.
Absolutely. They emphasize that governance isn't just about top-down control. It's about fostering collaboration, empowering the employees to really participate in the automation journey.
Sounds like finding that balance between control and empowerment is key. But I'm also curious about what can go wrong. This report talks about automation projects that just stall, crawl, or get completely abandoned. What causes those failures?
That's a great question, and it's something we'll explore after a quick break. When we come back, we'll get into those potential pitfalls and how companies can avoid them.
All right, so let's get into those potential pitfalls the report highlights. Because, let's be real, not every automation project is a runaway success.
No, not at all. And this report doesn't try to hide the challenges. It really points out some common mistakes that companies make. Mistakes that can lead to, projects stalling out, wasted resources, even complete failures. So it's really important to learn from them, so you can avoid them in your own journey.
Yeah, makes sense. So what are some of those red flags? What are those common mistakes that can totally derail a project?
Well, one of the biggest ones is jumping into automation without a clear strategy. It's like setting off on a road trip, no map, no destination. You might end up somewhere, but probably not where you want it to go.
Makes sense. You got to have a plan.
Yeah, a reason.
A reason for doing it, not just, doing it to do it.
Yeah. Exactly. And the report makes it really clear that your automation strategy needs to be, really tightly aligned with your business goals. What are you trying to achieve? Is it increased efficiency, cost reduction, improved customer satisfaction, or something else? You got to have those goals in mind before you even start.
You got to be intentional. Using automation as a tool to achieve those specific objectives. But even with a good strategy, the report warns about underestimating change management, right?
Absolutely. You can't just like throw robots at a problem and expect people to adapt just like that. And we keep coming back to this, but successful automation, it's about the people just as much as the technology. You need to bring them along, communicate clearly, involve them, and really address those concerns they have.
It's about managing that human element, right? Change can be, unsettling for people, especially with automation when there's, those concerns about job security.
Yeah, for sure. And the report acknowledges that. It gives you, some guidance. It's really crucial to emphasize that automation is not about replacing people, but about, augmenting them, creating a more powerful partnership between humans and machines. It's also important to highlight those opportunities, freeing people up from those boring tasks and letting them focus on more interesting and fulfilling work.
So it's about reframing the whole narrative around automation, right?
Yeah.
Instead of seeing it as a threat, you want your employees to see it as a tool that can empower them, to do their jobs better and to create, new opportunities for them.
Yeah, exactly. And speaking of empowering employees, another potential pitfall is, not providing enough training or upskilling. If you want people to really embrace it and to work effectively with those, digital workers, you got to invest in them, give them the skills they need to thrive in this new environment.
It's about making sure your workforce is equipped, to handle those changing demands. But let's switch gears a bit and talk about the processes themselves. This report mentions the danger of automating a broken process. Can you talk about that a bit more? Like, what does that mean, and why is it such a problem?
Yeah, it's a simple point, but it's really important. Automating a broken process, it doesn't actually fix anything. You're just making it happen faster. Amplifying the inefficiency. It's like putting a brand new engine in a car, but with bald tires and bad brakes. It might go fast, but it's not going to be a smooth ride.
So before you even think about automating, you need to take a step back.
Yeah, assess the process.
Look for those bottlenecks, the inefficiencies, where things are breaking down. Fix those underlying issues first, and then you can think about how automation can, take it further.
Right. Don't just automate for the sake of it. Make sure the process is solid first. And the report, it also emphasizes that you need to involve the people who are actually doing the work. They have the best insights into what's working and what's not.
Makes sense. You gotta tap into that knowledge and experience of your frontline workers. They can be so valuable when you're trying to improve things. But even with a clear strategy, engage employees, good processes, the report still says be careful about neglecting the governance. Why is that so crucial?
Well, because governance provides the structure and the oversight you need to make sure those automation initiatives are on track, that they're delivering what they're supposed to, and that you're not creating, some unintended consequences. Without clear roles, responsibilities, and accountability, things can get out of control pretty quickly. It's like building a house without a foreman. You might get something that looks like a house, but it's probably not going to be safe.
Right. You need that framework to guide the journey, to make sure everyone's working towards the same goals and to manage risks. The report talks about those steering committees and COEs. They're providing that that structure. Right.
Exactly. The steering committee, they provide that, high-level vision. They're like, they're air traffic controllers, making sure everything runs smoothly. And then the COE, they're like the ground crew, providing the expertise, the support, the resources to make it all happen, making sure those planes are ready to go.
And those structures, they're essential not only for the tech, but also for the people and the processes, right? Yeah. It's about alignment, transparency. Both so important. So as we wrap up this deep dive, what are your final thoughts on this report? What would you want someone in your position to really take away from this?
For me, the biggest takeaway is that successful automation, it's a holistic thing. It's not just about the tech. It's about the people, the processes, and the governance that brings it all together. It needs a strategic mindset, a commitment to change management, and a willingness to adapt and evolve as you go. This report, it's a roadmap. It highlights the benefits, sure, but it also shows those pitfalls to avoid. It's really valuable for anyone who wants to navigate this exciting but always changing world of automation.
I completely agree, and this report has given us so much to think about, especially in terms of how we approach automation in our own organizations, it's a good reminder that it's not a one-size-fits-all solution. It's a journey that requires careful planning, thoughtful execution, and a real focus on the human element as we move forward in this era of rapid technological advancement. We need to embrace automation in a way that benefits everyone. To create a future of work that's both efficient and fulfilling. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the world of automation.